Wasn't the longest minute.
I know. Hi, gentlemen. Okay, it's 6 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order in the joint meeting with the Select Board. Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to go around, have everybody go around and say a quick introduction.
Let me call our meeting to order
Sure.
first. That would
Yep.
be fine. So I'm going to call the Select Board meeting, March 10th, 2026 to order.
All right, okay. Do you want to go down that way? Just say your name, please.
Sure. Erica Fleming, Finance Director.
Marlene McCollum, Town Administrator.
Anne Marie Seronian, Select Board.
Peter Meyer, Select Board, and Bourne Higher Low.
Gina Zarabet, Select Board.
Melissa Ferretti, Select Board Chair.
I'm James Strangelo, Select Board.
Zoe Noonan, School Committee Student Rep.
Rachel Aguero, School Committee.
Maria Heaney, School Committee.
Donnell Beal, School Committee Chair and a 1986 Bourne alumni.
Hi, Carrie Schofield, I'm School Committee.
Kathleen Quindle, School Committee.
Carrie Quinlan-Joe, Superintendent, Bourne Public Schools.
Christine Forning, Assistant Superintendent, Bourne Public Schools.
Jordan Geist, Bourne Public Schools, Director of Business Services.
Chris Oliver, Director of Technology, Bourne Public Schools.
Kristen Donahue, Bourne Public Schools, Director of Special Education and Student Services.
Okay, all right. So we're here tonight as a joint meeting between the school committee, Bourne Public Schools, and the town Board of Select. Marlene and Erica, thank you guys for being here. So the purpose of the meeting is to discuss FY 2027 budget deficit in advance of the Finance Committee's public hearing and annual town meeting. So would you like to start first, or would you want?
I think we all know why we're here. Marlene.
Actually, if I can, do you mind if I just
That would be fine, please.
set the
I was going to
stage?
look to you, sure.
Very briefly? So, as many of you know, we met in December for the budget preview at the police station, and we talked about the assumptions behind building the budget. And one of those key assumptions is that we level fund the cherry sheets. So we built the budget for FY '27. I presented it to the Select Board on January 6th, at which time it was balanced. At the end of January, we received our cherry sheets, and they're concerning this year. And the end result of those cherry sheets are, right now, we're standing at a budget deficit of $478,532. So ultimately, the Select Board, per the town's charter, has to present a balanced budget to town meeting. So the Select Board will have to decide how to orchestrate cuts to this budget and how those cuts need to be distributed among all of the budget, the entire budget. So in order to do that, I think in order for the Select Board to be able to do that wisely and thoughtfully, they need to have a conversation with the school committee. Because the 300 budget, the Bourne Public School budget, and then the municipal services budget, the municipal department's budget, are really kind of the places where there's ability to cut. We don't have ability to cut things like retirement assessments and some of our other big budget lines. So the Select Board is going to have a difficult task in front of them in order to close that budget gap. The Finance Committee is aware of the deficit. I met with them last night. And they have agreed to delay their budget hearing until March 30th to give these two groups some time, to discuss and strategies in order to close that gap, so that a balanced budget can hopefully be discussed with the Finance Committee on March 30th. And then all of the town meeting materials can be prepared in advance of the May 4th town meeting.
Okay. May I say something as well? Thank you for that. So in December, at the end of December, Dr. Joe and Mr. Geis presented the budget to you guys at Town Hall, and it was my understanding that where we were up 3.7, everybody was great. Everybody was fine with that. We heard through the grapevine after that, probably January, late January, February, that they wanted to cut our budget. Is that correct, Dr. Joe?
Well, we heard there was a budget deficit.
Deficit, yes.
Through means of listening to the select board meetings afterwards.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So we are here today, I mean, we definitely, want to help the town. I trust Mr. Geis's budget. There's a very rigorous process for that budget. We approve the budget. They have a subcommittee for the budget, and I definitely, feel comfortable and confident that he presented, some good numbers. Don't know that we, have a ton to work with, but so we came to the table last Thursday in hopes that we could offer you, that amount that we had talked about last Thursday. But there's still a really huge gap there. So, I'm not really sure. You were saying, Marlene, that, we're over budget, that, Bourne Public Schools is over budget. We're in line with our neighbors. We're in line with Sandwich. We're in line with UCT, Wareham, Falmouth. I have the numbers here. So I guess I'm personally at a loss. I just don't know. While we want to help, I just don't know really where we can cut. So I guess maybe we're looking for some help. Yes. Yep.
And my name is Maria Heaney. I'm a member of the subcommittee on finance, and budget. I've been at the meetings with Jordan. I attended the meeting in December in Town Hall. So I know from conversations, and as I'm sure you're all aware, we're also, we've been trying to figure out what to do with the burgeoning larger, younger grades and moving what grades, up-leveling and all the different scenarios we've considered, as well as what that would cost the schools, in trying to figure out the most fiscally responsible way to address that. Also looking at repairs or trying to make the schools look nice for the students so they feel comfortable staying here. All these things have been considered as we put together this budget. Looking at several years and saying some things we have to wait for, some things we need to do now, and making those decisions. So I think that's essentially what Donnell has been trying to say, is that we certainly have been very diligent in looking at our budget. I don't think we've been over budget. No. I think we've been working with a very tight budget. And, again, if you look at what we've done, and I know it was discussed at that meeting, it seemed, congratulations that you were able to hold the budget to that 3%. So again, I think that's why it's surprising. I also think, and I don't know if now's the time to discuss, there's been other discussions regarding UCT and some money that hopefully is coming back to the town that maybe should have been appropriated in theory to our students. So I don't know, considerations-wise, what the selectmen can do with what you need to tell the town and when you have to have certain decisions made. But I think, for me, I would hate for us to be hasty about cutting our budget or cutting people when we know right now that there should be money coming back to the town based on UCT not billing us properly in the past. So I wanted to kind of put that out there before we get too much into the discussion and fine picking on our budget. when we need to look at the big picture of that we are diligent with how we approach the budget. We're very diligent. And we also are aware that there should be considerable money coming back to the town from UCT.
And thank you for that. And we appreciate that you were trying to rectify that problem with the letter that you had sent last week to Desi, was it? Yes, Desi, yep. And we understand that may be causing a bit of the deficit. Is that right, or?
I guess through the chair.
Yeah, please do. I was just going to see if the school committee wanted to speak first, maybe, and we could go to the select board. It's entirely up to you. We can go back and forth if that works. Go ahead, Peter, please.
A statement was just made accusing Upperkeith Tech of a mistake by you, and I'm not. Superintendent's over there, and a member of their school committee is there. They should have a right to come up here and defend your action of what you just said. I mean, because you're not going to throw someone on the bus like this without giving them a chance to defend why the things are happening the way they are.
Absolutely, and he's welcome to come up and speak. However, she did not throw anyone under the bus. She's just talking facts.
I'm mentioning that
Yeah,
this has come up,
that
this has come up, and obviously, until it goes through whatever process it needs to go through, decisions are made, but I'm saying at this point, it appears that money should be coming back to the town. I'm not the one determining whether or not it is, but I know these conversations have taken place, a letter has gone out. So this is a discussion that should be part of the larger discussion of budget because it's not separate. And in fact, quite honestly, in my opinion, it seems to be in-kind numbers. So it's not like one is $10 and the other is $4,000. The numbers are actually similar. So instead of, I guess, making a hasty decision for hard cuts on anyone, the municipality, the school, or anyone, in understanding that that budget deficit potentially could be addressed after it goes through whatever investigation or process or audit or whatever needs to take place. I'm just saying, I'm aware this discussion has taken place, so I'm not making a judgment on it. I'm just saying it should be part of the discussion that we continue with, because we can't act like it's not happening and then, okay, it happened there, and gee, why did we make all these harsh cuts now when in the end it could be a different picture?
And we weren't throwing them under the bus. I mean, we didn't, it's my understanding that you guys didn't input the numbers. You were saying Desi inputted the numbers. So we're not throwing anyone under the bus,
But
you can...
if an error has been made, no matter who made it, in the
It's
billing,
an error,
who
and it's
made
our
it-
money.
who made it in the paying, if
Yeah.
that gets corrected, it could mean
That's the rest of the budget. then.
considerable money coming back to the town.
Go ahead, MJ.
So I think one of the key things that Marlene said in her introduction of setting the stage was that one of the key assumptions was the level funding of the cherry sheet. And the original discussions that happened relative to a deficit at the end of January or early in February were because when the cherry sheet numbers came in, there was a 600 and, it's on the, I probably lost it. I would say 639, I could be off a couple dollars, deficit in the assessments on the cherry sheet. And that is expenses that come out of the revenue. So this is money that the town does not have to spend, that we were planning on having. The majority of those assessments are school-related. They are assessments for school choice out and for charter school tuitions. And that is money that has to come out of the general fund. The money on the revenue side for school choice in goes directly to the schools. So that money is in addition to the money that is listed on sources and uses for your budget. So if your budget is $23 million and you're getting $2 million of school choice in money, that is money you get directly, and so your budget is $25 million. So the issue, the deficit issue that really came forward was these assessments, because it means that those additional assessments that are no longer level funded in the cherry sheet is $600,000 that has to be covered.
So just again, if you don't mind, explain then how this UCT money for students going there.
That has nothing to do with the cherry sheet assessment. That has nothing to do with the cherry sheet assessment. It's not on the cherry sheet.
So you're saying
And we, the select board has written a letter. We have asked for an explanation. And just, I don't know if you are all aware that this overlap between Wareham and Buzzards Bay, where people that live in Wareham have a Buzzards Bay mailing address, is a problem for motor vehicle excise. It's a problem for motor registration, and appears now as newly identified as a problem for identifying students. We've known about the motor vehicles, and we've known about the voter registration problem for years. And the assessor's office manually checks the streets to make sure that the motor vehicle bills go out correctly. And the town clerk manually checks the streets of the voters who are registered and come through as Buzzards Bay. And it is a problem. It's not a UCT problem. It's really a problem that has to do with the zip code of Buzzards Bay covering two different towns.
But it's also a problem, again, facing it today, that recognizing it, that things should be correctly billed, that we need a process going forward that these errors are not made in the future. So again, it happened for 1,000 reasons. It happens for other systems. But for this system, for our town and for our school district, we should recognize that going forward, it needs to be corrected, systems need to be in place. Going back, we should get money that should not have been spent by the town for students in Wareham. We should get that money back. I don't fully understand saying it doesn't matter. I get that there's, the cherry sheet and the budget.
I said it doesn't matter in terms of the cherry sheet. It's not part of the cherry sheet. It's a whole different.
Okay, so it's
a
a whole
whole
different
discussion.
Okay.
It's a whole different discussion. We have to address it. We have to look at it.
Absolutely.
It is a problem that needs to be addressed.
Yep,
Needs to
and
be
you guys have
corrected.
written a letter.
But
Okay.
that is not the part of what originally happened. What originally happened was that the school-related assessments on the cherry sheet created a $600,000 school-related deficit. We have covered some of that. We have been able to cover some of that.
So that's where you get the
But
478.
that's why we're still
Okay,
at
so you-
478.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And we need, there is no more revenue. And on the town side, we have unfilled positions that, we have positions of people that have left, our assistant town administrator. We have not funded that position for next year.
I mean, we're in the same position, wouldn't you
So
say, Dr.
I haven't
Jones?
seen your budget. I don't know what your budget is. And, I mean, I've been a school committee member. I've 9 years as a school committee member in another town. So, I understand the budget and the problems. When, in my other town, when we had a $600,000 deficit that we had to work through, we worked through it together.
And that's what we
Oh,
want
that's
to
the
do.
intent.
Absolutely. That's the intent
That's
of
the
getting
intent.
together. Absolutely, 100%.
But a question I have, and again, I'm sorry to monopolize the discussion, but I also feel like there's a couple of large elephants in the room that have been in the previous meeting, that have come into this room with us, that need to be addressed. So if that, whatever the UCT money, hopefully that does come back to us at some point, if the Finance and Budget Committee and the School Committee can figure out how to make cuts that are going to be hard cuts, because everything is separate, because it's the cherry sheet, if it's all separate, we would hope that there's consideration when that money does come back, that it does get considered to go back into the school budget to make up for these cuts that we're going to be able to make now, whatever they are, because of in the future, because it's a separate thing, but hopefully that there's considerations, and it's not like, well, let's take it and put it somewhere else, because to a degree, so I just
Yep, no,
wanted to
absolutely.
confirm that.
Thank you for your comment, and we discussed that too at the meeting last, last week or something. But Dr. Joe, Mr. Geis, would you like to say anything?
I think Anne Marie had a comment,
Anne
if that's
Marie.
okay?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Sure.
Please, thank you.
Just
Thank you,
to,
Donna.
so I think that it's hard for me to kind of like verbalize exactly what I want to say. The issue with UCT is being dealt with. We are very diligent with correcting that and hopefully in the future establishing a process that it doesn't happen again. It would be fiscally irresponsible of this board, because we have no idea what the outcome is going to be. So it would be fiscally irresponsible of this board to rely on the outcome that we cannot predict or spend money we simply do not have. There is no guarantee, right?
That's why I said,
so
whenever that happens.
Same thing is true for, right? You can't spend revenue you don't have. And as Mary Jane said, it's unfortunate that the deficit is a result of direct costs incurred by education.
It absolutely
is.
is.
It is. It's unfortunate, but that's where we're at. So that whole UCT thing, honestly, I'm getting really irritated that it keeps like coming up, and people think we're gonna like jockey for position on that money. We can't. We have a fiscal responsibility. If at the end result is we get so much dollars, by policy and by statute, that money goes to free cash. And that money has to be available to all departments. It simply has to be, right? Knowing some of the sacrifices that have been made in all the departments. We understand that. So the other two issues I have with the budget, right? This is a $41 million budget before offsets and before shared costs, right? A little under $5 million for shared costs. It's about $8 million, a little under $5 million for offsets, and what's required by the town to spend, which is a little over $20 million, and then $8 million or so in shared costs. That's correct, right? You saw those numbers. I struggle with the $41 million budget for education. It's for roughly 1,500 students, right, give or take. And I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but there's revenue that you don't have. There's one-time revenue that you got with ESSER that you want the town to absorb, right? And you're trying to absorb it in your operating costs. We don't, that's additional revenue that we don't get. It was one time during the pandemic, right? It went through 3 rounds, I believe, right? So that's not an easy task to absorb it in a budget by any means, especially round 3 you got just under $2 million. And just 2 rounds, just under $3 million. And the other thing too is encumbrances. You've already encumbered over $450,000 for fiscal year 27 that isn't reflected in this budget. That's revenue, historically, that's usually given back to the town and goes into free cash, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying you can't encumber it, but that's revenue you've taken, right? And have put into your fiscal year 27 budget. So that's a lot of revenue that we don't have to try to balance a budget. It is. That's what we struggle with. That's what we're trying to navigate.
Right, okay. Thank you for your input, both of you. I would just like to say something. I would love for you guys to understand our frustration too. I mean, they have proposed an amazing budget. And we are trying to work with you guys. But when I walk into a classroom that has actual rain coming down on the students, and we have buckets everywhere, I mean, we do, grassroots, marketing. The teachers, spend their own money on supplies and things like that. The outside of the school that we're sitting in looks like 1920s. It looks the exact same as when I went to high school in 1986. So that's where I'm frustrated. And I'm not only the school, on the school committee, I'm a community member. I have lived here for my entire life. So I just want you to know that we want to work with you as a school and as community members. But I don't know, do you have anything to add, Dr. Joe or
Sure,
Mr. Geist?
I'll be happy to say a few things.
Okay.
Mostly just to clear up a few things. So, and I deeply respect you, the work that you've done, that goes without saying. And also, I'll completely echo, we came to the table to help. Last Thursday, we came to the table. We're here, we've already brainstormed some things. So this isn't in opposition. This is just a statement of our perspective and kind of where we are. Because we really believe that we put together a solid budget. So a couple of things. First of all, ESSER has been gone for a while. That's been absorbed. We've made our cuts. There have been many things that it's such an afterthought right now. It's not part of this budget in any way trying to absorb anything. This budget, we always zero balance our budget. We go to exactly what the kids need, and then we find a way to fund that. So in this budget, and I would like to completely recognize the cuts and the struggles that's already been made on the town side. Just hearing about not having an assistant town manager, and I'm sure many other things have been said no to that I don't know about. But we also do that. During our whole budget process, we were asked for an additional guidance counselor. We were asked for additional unified arts teachers, engineering, 8th grade students, a reading specialist, technology department. There's several things that we said no. We've said no year after year. We've held back. So we feel pretty fiscally responsible about our budget. One other piece of information that I think was, I've always known that we have not a tight budget in that we are trying to, cut needed positions, because I would never cut positions like special ed teachers or things that are really needed for kids. But we have a right on the edge budget. We're fiscally responsible. And so we looked at the per pupil expenditure, so that's end of the year report, all in, just like what you're presenting, our entire budget. And we're in line with all of the surrounding districts. So Bourne is per pupil 24,000, I need my glasses, 569. I'll be happy to share this with you too. Falmouth is actually 25,000 and change per pupil. Mashpee is 24,500. Sandwich is 26,500. Wareham is 24, and UCT is 27. So we just went with our surroundings. We're right in line with them, and that was for fiscal year 24. We go back the other years. People talk about enrollment. Yeah, there's declining enrollment all across the entire state, like big time across the entire state. So we do have it here. And so whereas we've lost students, other districts, the same 4 or 5, have lost significantly more. Our needs are so similar to our surrounding districts is what I'm trying to paint a picture of. Our teaching staff, again, I've got here the list of all the people we've cut over the years to make up for those ESSER monies, to kind of reset where we need to reset. That's why we pull on our offsets. We write a million grants so that we can have these extra things for our kids, whether it's technology. Look at all the skills capital. Those are part of the offsets that we're bringing in through competitive funding, having these amazing programs for our kids. So, I just want to paint a picture that we're not at all different than our surrounding communities. This is what education costs. And, our education in Bourne specifically, we've got different pressure points than other places. And one of our pressure points, I've said this before, has been the out-of-district special education costs. So across the state, it's risen since 2021, 29%. That particular line item, which for us is collaborative programs and out-of-district tuition, children that we can't service kind of in-house. In Bourne, we ran the numbers. Last year from 2021, we've increased 42%. So if you talk about things that can't, that's the limit. These are things that we can't avoid. It's just like your pressure points of retirement and health insurance. So we have these huge trends that are unavoidable. So what do? We We make cuts elsewhere. We make sure that we have everything. So as of right now, I mean, like I said, we came to the table last Thursday to have some discussions. I'm not sure we're able to have a full discussion on that, because there are lots of questions that probably, needed to air out. You're hearing some remnants of that. But, we like to go through our process. Again, we have a process that we stand by, which is talk to the administrators, have a budget and facilities sub-meeting, have an additional school committee meeting to be able to really be thoughtful. Because I always believe in the scalpel and not the butcher knife, right? Like, let's be thoughtful about it. We want to help. And we'll look at places like things that have changed from the time we presented, which was the end of January, because our budget and facilities we had to present to get to our budget hearing. We tried to go a month early. We usually go in March, and we went in February again to help the town so you know where everything was so that all of the voting would line up. But things have changed since then, and one of them is an enrollment in grade 5. We always thought we were on the cusp. So right now, after speaking with the principal, I can say this outwardly because I know I've had a conversation with her. We feel pretty confident that we could cut that position we were planning to have, which would be a 7-track instead of a 6. We budgeted $76,000. There's something right there. So we're here to help. We're here to look at our offsets, to look at circuit breaker and these things. There's so many moving parts. This is the last thing I'll say unless there are questions. That we need to feel confident that what we present will not only work on paper today, but will work on paper a year from now when we're sitting in these same seats. Because we know what's in the pipeline in those really high pressure areas. We know which students, are being discussed through team meetings, the process, the way it should go, for maybe out of district placements, for maybe having an additional paraprofessional support. We don't have that set in stone today, just the same way you didn't have your cherry sheets, until January. So we have to be comfortable with kind of where that is. So that's why we're saying we need to go through our process and kind of see what's possible. And until we know specifically what the number is that you're looking for to close the gap, I think, then we'll be able to have those conversations. So the last thing I'll say, I also appreciate, I'm not going to say anything else except to say that I appreciate that you're looking into some of the discrepancies, because I don't think anyone in this room, including my colleague when I spoke with him, no one wants there to be discrepancies. No one wants this to happen. But as it stands right now, there's a problem. Things don't match up. Hopefully the Department of Ed will help us rectify that and you'll get better numbers. In looking at the cherry sheets, because I do remember the conversation we had when they first came out, Melissa saying, yeah, they came out already? I haven't seen those. It was that day. So I started taking a really hard look at them, and again, just so the record's straight, what's really interesting in the they call it out-of-district public schools, that means school choice sending. So foreign resident children who are going somewhere else. We actually decreased by 8 students from last year's number to this year's number, yet you're being charged more. There are reasons why that's possible without looking at the whole formula, but I don't want people to think that kids are leaving the district, because there's actually 8 less kids that have left the district. Some of that may be what they call special ed increments. It means that that child is not costing Bourne $5,000, it's costing Bourne more because they're being educated in a more specialized way. So we can try to look into that and see where it is, but the fact of the matter is your cherry sheets are showing a financial story that you're trying to rectify. I get that. I can completely see your perspective. And then for charter, it's the same thing. We're only seeing an increase of 2 students right now, and both of those numbers get verified by my office, and that verification didn't go out until February 20th. So in the meeting that we had recently, I did ask Marlene, is there any way to have the budget hearing a little later with the hopes, it's still a hope, might be a pipe dream, that you might get new cherry sheets and you might see that gap go a little tighter. Because the weird thing about charter is it's also dependent on your foundation enrollment. So for example, Provincetown, as soon as they send, they have so little kids, as soon as they send a child out to charter, that price tag for that charter is much bigger. So that may be what's at play here too. Just like every other town, the total amount of students have decreased, so maybe the actual cost of charter has increased. I don't know, I'm not a mathematician. But the fact of the matter is that it's not significantly more children leaving the district. I just wanted to set the record straight on that. So yeah, I mean, we've run a lot of analysis. We feel, again, really solid about the budget we put together, but we're here to help. We'd like to go through our whole process and see, do it in a really thoughtful way, that like we did over the past couple of months, but condense that to meet your deadline of the budget hearing.
Thank you, Dr. Joe. And I'll add to that, so we do have a budget and facilities meeting Friday. So this is what we need when we want to help. So we're going to go through that process, and we're going to take another look and see what we can do. Mr. Geist?
Thank you. I just want to point of clarification, just for people watching at home and anyone in the audience. MJ was just making an example of the school choice receiving. It was clearly an example. She said $2 million that we get. It's nowhere near that. It's right around $800,000. I just so everyone's clear on that. Thank you.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to what has been said thus far, or?
No.
No?
I just have one thing to say. That when you have a deficit, it means you do not have enough revenue to cover the expenses. So we are in a situation where we either need to get $478,000 of revenue to cover the deficit, or we need to cut $478,000. So there is there's nothing else we can do. And whether we get more information before we go to town meeting that helps us change that, or whether we don't, we've had situations in the past, and I would say 2015, where we were in a much worse position and we had to go for an override, and the override failed. And we originally thought we were going to have to cut $3 million from the budget. We only had to cut about $1.5 million. But we worked through that process to make sure that we equitably distributed how the money that we got back. I mean, we're in this together. I mean, nobody wants to say, well, you're going to cut it.
No, it's your problem. Yes, no, we're not saying that at all.
It's a very complex system. So at the end of the year, whatever money we have, they give us our free cash certification. And if there are funds encumbered, that comes off our free cash certification. So if we don't get the turnbacks, that gives us less money for next year. It doesn't. So we have to go through the process. It takes us generally till early fall, September, October, to know how the free cash was certified. And we would not know until that happened if we did get money back or not, if there might be, whether it still meets our policy on free cash and whether we can make some adjustments because we got it back. So there are no guarantees, except for the fact that when we go to town meeting, we have to have zero deficit.
No, understood. Just another question. For the 478, is it entirely the burden of the school district, or is it, you said the other major part is municipality or municipal? Is there somewhere else?
It was like 700 something, wasn't it, Marlene?
Yes. It has gone down. Right now, it's at 478. The select board has to decide how those cuts are shared. So that's the select board's decision on how the expenses get reduced.
So the 478, it was originally 6 something. Is that 478 lower for the schools now, or?
The select board received information that was, at one point, our deficit was $729,000.
It was almost 8 before.
Yeah,
correct?
729.
Okay.
And then SETI decided not to, Marlene, we unfunded the town administration.
No, that was already.
That was already
So
out, okay, that's right.
The deficit came down.
Yes.
By $250,000 when those 14 addresses were reclassified
That's
to
true,
Wareham.
okay, thank you.
That's the only change that has happened since we've gotten the cherry
So
sheet.
that's where, so that was kind of my question.
Okay.
And I was understanding the conversation as saying there's no consideration of it. What you just clarified seemed to be there is consideration for that.
What DESI has changed, yes.
Yes,
But there's
okay.
still more in question.
So up until right now, it wasn't my understanding it was seeming like they're two different worlds, and it didn't make sense to me. So now, hearing this, that there, at least it is considered with the budget, considered with the deficit, there's a consideration in there. It is related. So again, that's good to know, it's good for the public to know, you know, that it isn't just, well, that's separate and when it comes back, you know, so again, when it comes back, it's already being considered in, I guess, the revenue or.
It's already knocked down the deficit,
Okay,
yes.
From being, well, so.
Yes.
Again,
From the
that's-
800, it was approximately 800 previous.
So again, that was my points in not knowing, saying I'm seeing this elephant in the room and I think it's related, so now I'm hearing it does. It is related.
If I may,
Please.
when I said that, the upper K cap is not related to the cherry sheet deficit.
Right.
It's related to the town's budget deficit.
Okay.
Not to the cherry sheet deficit.
Okay.
That's, I wasn't saying it wasn't related to anything. It's just
Okay.
not, that the $600,000 school-related cherry sheet deficit
Okay.
still stands,
Okay.
and that doesn't cover the retired teachers' insurance, which is even more, I think.
Does cover.
More, yeah.
And again, it's just not guaranteed is really the struggle,
Right.
right,
Mm-hmm.
in there, so.
I think it would be awesome if you guys could go through your process. I mean, everyone,
planning
we
it.
go
We're planning
through
it.
our
Yeah,
process.
we're
We keep
absolutely planning.
constantly going through our process. If you can go through your process, see what you can find, you know, see what you can do, it would be very helpful. I mean, if we can't balance it, you know, then the question becomes, do we want to ask for money in an override to cover the school budget? And that's, I mean,
Probably no time anyhow. something like that.
yeah.
So there, you know, just on our end too, there's so much uncertainty with students coming into town, right? Aren't we concerned about that?
Well, just as a, for example, the
Yeah.
example I mentioned, so
Yep.
at present, we think we can have a 6-track in grade 5.
Right,
And it would be
right.
approximately 22 kids per class, which
Yeah.
is, you know, in a really good place. But we have such an interesting situation with the base and with, you know, other things, you know. So yeah, come this summer, if we get registration that goes higher, we'll have to put in a 7th track and we'll have to find the money somewhere. That
Right.
typically doesn't come on a fall meeting ask to have like expenditures increase, that type of stuff. So yeah, kind of once we're past our budget, it typically doesn't get backfilled in any way. We'd have to find a way to make it work. And on the other side, I'll just give one more example, our major pressure point being these out-of-district costs. At any moment, we could have a student move into town who has significant needs. And we have to fund that. And so we actually, even last year, the way that we helped to balance the budget is that we extracted $300,000 from the budget that we were presenting, and we were able to use the stabilization account to make sure that we could pay for what was happening in that year. You all remember that? We requested it, it was put in and all that. And now, as it goes into circuit breaker, it's going to get reimbursed over the years. So it's not a deficit that keeps building. You know, we've budgeted that in, and then circuit breaker will start to backfill. But the problem is that particular safety net, which again is just to be used as a safety net for those really off chances that someone comes in, it's not funded right now. So down the road, if you were to ask me, Maria, you know, if some funding comes in through free cash, through, you know, turnbacks, through something, it would be really responsible of us to continue to build up that safety net again with special ed stabilization, because that's what keeps me up at night. What if a move-in comes in, or 2, or 3? And again, and we love our military students. I'm not trying to point a finger at any type of student, you know, all students deserve exactly what they need. But we have a volatility in enrollment, and especially orders change throughout the year, and so we're always welcoming in kids, more than most school districts.
Yep.
So it is something that just concerns me, and so when I say we'll look, we're really looking at offsets. We're looking at circuit breaker. Do we pull more on that? Meaning we're spending money that we don't yet know we have, and then we put in all the receipts to try to get 65% more. So it's all about really good guesstimates. And can we do that? We'll look and we'll see where is our comfort level based on what we know today we have for children who need those services. Because certain monies can only go towards certain things. For example, we get certain grants that can only go toward curriculum-related things, or, you know, toward our ICP. So we've just got to take a really good look. I know at present, we can look at that one position, and when we do it, we'll put everything into effect because schedules are built around that. Like the whole middle school schedule is waiting to know, do we need that one position? Because it'll be a 7-track, which is a weird number.
Is that the
a
5th
number.
grade?
The 5th grade, yeah. And so we'll kind of put that all into play. But again, come August, if I've got too many kiddos, I'm hiring another teacher. We've got to figure out how to make it work. So I think that answers your
Absolutely.
question.
Yes, absolutely. And it's important to us, too, to maintain the integrity of class size, too. I mean, we can't have 30, 35 students in a class.
Right.
So, I mean,
That's what I had when I was in Plymouth.
oh, you did? Yeah,
Back in the
no,
day,
nobody
sure,
wants
yeah.
that. Right,
We had to, they had
exactly.
to stagger periods because you couldn't fit anybody in the hallway.
Yeah, no,
So,
we don't.
Go ahead,
we
Peter.
want that problem.
No,
definitely.
you're finished, Peter.
Nope.
I don't know. My question is if Dr. Jill's scenario does happen, you have to go to a 7-track, isn't that eligible for a reserve fund transfer because it's unforeseen? No? Okay, is that a question?
Yeah.
I just figured it was unforeseen and unknown at the time. I just didn't know if there was a way around
it.
that.
Yeah,
no.
that's a good question, yeah. Any other comments? Can we do, we can't do public comment, can we?
And then the stabilization account that you say we used to have and we don't have anymore, again, just to kind of put out there to the select board, hopefully there's consideration when the free cash comes in, maybe to look to fund that again, because again, that's a rainy day fund that one student coming in with considerable needs could really make an impact on our and in your budget, and at least being prepared for it sounds like a good plan.
That would be in the ideal, yeah, absolutely.
Is that totally zero now? I mean, we had
No,
300
it's
or
not
something.
zero. I'm looking at Erica, hoping she remembers.
It's approximately $100,000, and it's a special education reserve fund. It's
Yes,
not a
special ed.
stabilization fund, so
No,
it doesn't
yeah.
go to town meeting, it doesn't need the 2/3 vote, so I just want to make sure
Yeah,
that
exactly.
The select board votes
Okay.
it. if it-
Correct.
if
Yeah.
it's in the
school committee
Oh,
and school board.
We voted
Okay,
it
good.
within the
All right.
budget
Right.
process.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I think, so we have our budget and facilities meeting Friday. We're going to reconvene and then bring it to school committee, and
We'll have to call a school committee meeting.
we'll have to call another school committee
meet the
meeting
deadline, yeah.
and vote on it. But in the meantime, we'll be in communication with.
So can I just ask about your schedule? So, because the goal is to have I guess my question to the select board is your goal to have a balanced budget at the time Finance Committee holds their budget hearing? Because if we're going to get an X, a question mark at this point, X number of dollars cut from the school committee next week?
So our budget meeting is Friday, and then we can call a school committee meeting next week.
Okay, so.
Yep. Does that work for your schedule, or?
Nope.
Yeah.
It's next week.
But
So I
the
guess-
finance
so I
meeting's the
guess
30th.
Let me ask you this,
Yeah.
select board.
Help, you're
So-
the one with the
So, let me ask you this, select board.
Yes.
So, let's say Wednesday night, you have your dollar number, right? Voted Wednesday night next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just, my phone away.
I'm going the next morning for 5 days, if I can do remote.
Well, my question is, if I get the school committee's potential reduction on Wednesday night, do you want me to then fill the gap with town cuts?
I don't know yet.
You
You
don't-
don't know what the gap is.
Right.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
You could identify possible cuts that might,
Right.
but
After.
until we know what they can come up with, it's hard to determine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is hard for me to.
And I also feel that if what they come up with and what you feel comfortable with does not cover the deficit, then we have to go to the Finance Committee budget meeting and have a conversation about the town's priorities. I know that when I lived in Southborough, that's what we did. When we got to this point where the school, with the schools and with the town and with everything and what money we had to spend, literally the select board and the finance committee sat down and said, what are we going to do? Where are we going to compromise? How are we going to do it? And it got us through some really tight situations by being in agreement that we have collaborated and this is what we're going to do. And that's what I would suggest. I mean, if it works out, it works out, but I think targeting that as a way to have that conversation and to come up with a balanced budget after that meeting.
After the budget hearing.
After the budget, as part of the budget, at the end of the budget meeting, we should have a balanced budget.
On the 30th.
On the 30th.
Yeah.
At
That would be a joint
the
meeting.
finance committee.
We're not going to be able to do that because I have to notify the unions.
Okay.
So,
Okay. A proposal? Can we have a proposal?
I do not want employees to hear at a public
Right.
meeting that they're
Okay.
losing their
Right,
job.
yeah, we can't set people off. So,
Well,
You're talking not school, you're talking town, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just didn't want,
Either way.
anyone to think that, anyone was losing their job. Yep.
Clarify that.
In the schools. Yep.
Town employees are losing their jobs.
Yeah, that's fact.
Will we know anything, Mr. Geist, after the meeting on Friday that we can share with them?
I don't think we can make those decisions. I don't think a full school committee meeting can make that decision.
So we won't.
So Budget and
until-
Facility Sub will
Okay.
be able to give recommendations.
Yes, and
To a
then-
school committee meeting.
Yeah, so that's next week.
Yeah. I guess, and just a wondering, and the answer could be, we don't know, because I have a feeling the answer is we don't know. I know that a letter was sent asking for help from DESE, from the Board of Ed, and from the Department of Ed, because the power is with them to be able to correct some of this and maybe give us a better number. Was there any response? Are they giving any timeline?
I mean, the letter just went out. I mean, it's not even.
Not yet.
Yeah.
No, the
We
answer.
haven't heard
Because
anything.
again,
We're at
if
this
neither of us
point
have
not
time-
even looking at that. I think the
Okay,
select
no.
board has, we
Yeah,
have
we
to
can't
put.
focus on
We
that.
can't
Because
even
the
think
end-
about
we
it
have
until we
no
know.
idea
It's
what the
not,
end result's
it's not a
going to be.
definite, they could tell us no. I mean,
Right.
we don't know. That's where we're at. I mean,
So
we're
it's-
stuck.
I get that, but at the end of the day, those are verified addresses that are not in our town, so it's going to get sussed out. I get you don't know the timeline.
I just don't know if DESE, we can't assume is
We
really
can't
where we're
assume
at. Any of it.
Any of it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That they may not
That's-
correct foundation enrollment, but again, we might not be assessed for them because they're not in our town, so it's two different beasts.
And maybe we have an opportunity to get that retroactive pay for the Bourne schools. I mean, that's a topic maybe that we can discuss at a later,
But again,
at a later date.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just talking about FY '27
Right.
and correcting things.
Yes, going forward, absolutely,
Right.
yes, I would imagine. I
Sure.
think they just, hopefully just said that, but, okay, so yes, can we
Sure,
take
come on up. If you have a
questions?
question, please come on up.
Are you are okay with the questions?
Are we taking public questions? I'm
Public
okay with it if
meeting?
you are. You're
I
there.
am okay with it,
Sure,
yes.
just gotta come up to
Yeah, come on up,
the
Mrs.
mic and,
Canterbury.
Mrs. Canterbury, please.
I'm just speaking as a taxpayer here in Bourne.
Yes.
And I read the Bourne Enterprise on Friday. First, I heard about the UCT students and the fact that we've been paying for Wareham kids. My question is there any way we could ask UCT if perhaps they could let 14 of our kids go for free this year? That would be $336,000 would help with the budget, seeing as we've paid for other people's kids. I mean, if we're paying $24,000 for our kids and they're $27,000 for their kids, obviously there's plenty of money there. Maybe we could have 14 of our high schoolers go there for free this year and not have to depend on DESE. Because honestly, as someone who enrolls students, the first thing you do is check the residency. You get proof of address, you find out where they live. I've been doing it for 25 years. I don't know why UCT didn't do that. So I think they should be made to pay, just my opinion, but figured it's worth asking them the question.
May I ask a question? Can I ask a question? Yes, yes. So when you key in the addresses physically, you do the house address, not a P.O. box?
We do the residential
Physical.
street
Physical
address.
address,
Yes.
okay.
That's what we've done. That's how we determine whether those 02532s live in Wareham or if they live in Bourne.
Okay.
As I said, I've been doing it for 25 years. We haven't had one wrong yet. We make sure that these kids live in the town of Bourne if we're going to educate them for free. If they don't, we mark them as school choice. And that way, they
Yes.
know they're Wareham, and our business office bills Wareham for these students.
Okay.
Don't know why UCT, with all their staff, didn't do something that simple.
Okay.
I don't think it's Desi's fault. I think that's the person who's enrolling the students. That's what you do. You don't want someone in your town attending your schools if they don't live in your town. So, yeah, it's a
Okay.
simple process. You just checks and balances. You make sure you know where these kids live.
Okay, thank you.
And we
Mrs.
are getting the
Canterbury.
adjustment for the 14. There's 12 in question, so.
Okay.
Well,
But
So
what
the
about all
14
the others that might have been
Yes.
The
billed
14
over
that
the
we
years that
definitely.
we don't know about? Are there more?
That's the adjustment that's been made in the deficit. But there are 12 in question, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Canterbury. Anyone else? No? Okay. Okay, any other comments from either, I don't want to say either side because we're all one. So I just wanted to reassure the parents of Bourne Public Schools too. We will make sure the educational needs of all of our Bourne students are taken care of while also remaining mindful of the fiscal realities facing the town. So I wanted to, reiterate that to the parents and guardians.
We thank you, the school committee, for your work and your diligence, and superintendent, all of you for, working and trying, and we get it. We know it's a hard year. I mean, we're all kind of stuck in it, and we're all trying to work through it. We're feeling it on the other side, and the staff are, in question. It's really a not a great year. But here we are.
It's nice that we can come together, though, to try to figure it all out, and we'll get there, and while maintaining the integrity of our students and teachers and staff, so, yep. All righty, so I'd like to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn our meeting.
Second.
Oh,
All right. Motion from Peter, second from Anne Marie. Roll call. Well, I'd like to do roll call. We're all here.
Aye.
All in
okay,
favor,
I'd like to
say
open the
aye.
meeting.
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
Yes, aye, yes. Yes. Carrie, Donnell, yes?
We're
Yes.
adjourned.
Yes.
Yes, great, okay. We're adjourning at 6:57. Thank you so much, everybody.
you. Thank you very much.
Thanks to everybody that joined in person, too.
Yes.